Alright, Section 4 cylinder liner, EMD 645 cubic inch engine. Contents, description, inspection, engine cleaning, measure liner for the wear, and oversized liner, removing liner, ridge, honing, marking used liners and pistons, service data, specification, equipment list. Engine maintenance manual, electrical motive manual, section 4 cylinder liner. This two cylinder figure 1 to consider for the casting having the two separate the water jacket applied with the braid for the casting throw with the air inlet ports, encircle with the liner with the flange outboards of the side with the liner below the ports provide with the connection for the liner water supply line. The water deflected with the figure 4 to prevent the inner liner inlet water from the impinging directly on the inner liner wall. Or figure 4-1 shows the cylinder liner pilot stove, the water jacket inner inlet ports water in liner pillar seal grooves top of the poly ass up at the bottom of the Vidin. Inlet water circulation from the bottom of the line progressing upward, discharged with the cylinder through head through the 12th drill hole for the counter bore, each of the drill hole to accommodate the Teflon heat. Dam, silicone, water shield, and the seal of the water passed through the cylinder head with installed with the copper clad steel gasket to provide the combustion seal between the cylinder head of the liner. The maintenance inspection of the engine airbox handhold cover to provide with the access with the cylinder liner upper board with the oil pan handhold cover to provide as if the lower board is open and the cylinder test valve with the position of the piston either below the ports for the upper board with the inspection on top near the top dead center with the low bore inspection check with the liner wall with the scuffing and scoring above the parts inspect with the external with the evidence of the water leak in the liner of the cylinder head gap with the water inlet lines. The procedure of the qualification liner contained with the section procedure for the removal of the insulation liner with the completely cylinder power assembly with the contained section 5 cleaning of the general liner. The cleaning of the procedure should be accorded with the accepted clearance with practice and recommended with the supplier with the cleaning material. All water scales, deposits, and other foreign materials should be whether detrimental with water seal life should be removed with the seal counterboard with the detail of the construction cleaning tool with the shown figure 4.4. Alright, 4.2 show of the water inlet detector. 4.3 show of the water, figure 43 show of the water seal. With the liner, with the remove of the engine, with the tool should be used with the washing line, with the also with the deposit, with the remove of the washer only with the low grade over the abrasion with the specified figure 4.4 should be used with the counterboard with the damage. You can see insert with the tool and an electric air power drill with the turn for the 200 and 2000 RPMs. Play for the fuel, drop of the fuel, drops of fuel and lubricating oil with the counterboard, exerting the light pressure with the tool and rock the tool forward, back and forth slightly, approximately 5 seconds per counterboard. When the cylinder head removed, the liner remains installed with the engine with the T-hand with the tool manually clean with the counterboard. The deposit will not enter the cylinder. Measuring with the liner of the wear. The cylinder liner should be measured with the planes of the barrel right angle with the crankshaft while the interior of the liner of the lane and clean with the measuring the bore. The check for the physical defects of the wear would require work of the liner bore gauge figure 45 standard. The inside of the bore micrometer should be used with the measure line bore. The diameter of the gauge is specified design liner bore measurement will provide accurate measurement with the when used carefully. The 3-prong centering the measure for the physical liner bore. The dial indicator bound with the right that extends down with the measuring prong to give the instinct reading of the bore with the diameter up to the right to allow the gears is raised and lowered to table bore with the visual measurement that's shown with the dial. The measure gauge is used to calibrate the bore gauge. The dial gauge should be locator should be used with the liner bore gauge. If the gauge fits over the top of the liner that hangs down inside of the liner bore, it has 4 12.7 millimeter or 1/2 inch drilled holes specified at 2 inches and 6 inches and 12 inches and 16 inches from the top of the located measurement position. A special block for the protected line board with the gauge provided for the place for the master gauge with the gauge and the locator. Dimension wear limit is listed from the surface of the data at the end of the list section. The new cylinder line of the bore diameter which falls between the low and the high limit. The bore diameter of the port relief of the zone that has different dimensional limits. Cumulative liner position and piston where increase with the piston the clearance, but the clearance is limited to the fact that the time of the reapplication the old liner should be patched with the new and out of use position with the diameters result with the piston liner or clearance exceeding the maximum of the lid point of 6 inches below the gasket of the face of the liner. The liner should be checked with out of the round of 2 points, 2 inches and 6 inches below the top of the liner, you put the dial with the gauge in there. You get 2 type of the reading 90 degree of the part determine the wear of the outground should be out of the round with the exceed with the light. The middle of the liner should be rebored with the next overside regardless of the measurement with which shall still be within minimums. Use the maximum piston limit of the clearance guiding some of the warning liners may be gained with provided that they are not over out around limits of the maximum match the piston have the diameter will not exceed the limits for the piston with the line clearance maximum piston and liner. Alright, figure 4/4 of the counterbearing tool show the 12 inches an inch, 1/38, 3/8 of an inch, 1 inch, 1/4 inch. Removable T-handle with a 1.5 inch distance with a CRS, a half inch, a 1/4 inch drill, half inch diameter drill, silver solder in place, 5/8 of an inch, 1 inch. Face of the surface of bracing, 1/16 of an inch by 3/64 of an inch. Counter bore, filter head, 10/32 of an at the 12, a half inch. Your 3/16 diameter of the 50 grit aluminum oxide paper, and your two 4/5 liner boring gauge, bore gauge locator for your 4/6 liner measurement points. Liner bore at the top of the limit of the ring travel the piston with the liner clearance, liner bore at the port relief zone, and liner bore. Usually the obtained selectively assembly with the clearance level unlimited. The limited was tamped with the maximum wear limit normally approximately 6 inches below the top of the limit of the piston ring with the clear check of the wearing and taking the two readings at 90 degrees apart with the within the specified limit of the liner warning the dimension of the having to leave some of the stack allowed with the cleaning of the bore of the fit overside of the limit would exceed and not may be possible reboard the liner to fit overside if it would have then reboard the next to overside losing the great amount of the wear life consequently suggesting that no liner be reinstalled if the bore diameter of the point maximum where exceeds the allowable limit. Overside liner. The liners are going to be rebored to 3/100 of an inch and 6/100 of an inch overside. The overside liner dimensions can be determined and increased with the standard line figures. Surface data of the 3/100 of an inch to 6/100 of an inch, and the case for the standard of 3/100 overside liners were worn beyond the limits of the return of the electromotive finishing to the next overside with the corresponding overside piston assembly must be used with the oversized liners. Removing the liner ridge after a long period of use of the wear, the ridge caused by the piston ring action, the pair will appear to neither the top of the line with the bore after the line is removed from the engine with the wear ridge, but must be entirely removed with the honing with the line with the unless completely removed with the wear and the ridge is accomplished with the not assembly, not possible to properly hone with a critical area of the liner of the top of the ring of the travel in addition with the removal of the wear ridge, particularly with any possible interference with the new piston rings, cylinder line, linear ridge reamer of the figure 4/7, the U of the remove the ridge for the top and inside with the bore of the line with the remover reamer can be used with the overside of the line of the reamer that can either be normally or motor operated with the reamer as motor operated. The speed reducers must be used when it is mounted on the reamer. The operating motor used with the speed reducer can be used ordinarily. They have the duty with electric drilling with no lead speed approximately 500 RPMs. Alright, 4/7 of the application of linear ridge reamer and special reduction. Main drive shank 3/4 inch socket, 1/2 inch drive with the motor driven and a speed reducer, 3/4 inch drive, 3/4 inch socket of the driver, 1/2 inch drive with the reamer to drive, a 3/4 inch depth of the stop of the cutter block position and the cutter release. Extra cutting blades may be obtained with the reamer that refer to the surface data at the end of this section. Reamer the cutting blades also may be resharpened and sharpened the dull cutter when necessary. Only light with the grinding of the leading action angle, which shows the cutting even the grinding wheel suitable for the grinding of the tungsten carbide tool with the clearance angle with the 8 degrees must be exceed when grinding the better than provide less than more the clearance. The cutter will stand up with the greater clearance. In addition, with the cutter shutter does not be used with the guide, but the portion will reduce the length of the 21 and 32 of an inch for the sharpening project, because the guide will not extend with enough of the pass, but the point hole to prevent with the undercutting, the resharpening, the surface of the cutter is referred to the reamer manufacturer liner ridge is removed with the power of the oil liner with the Jessica under the ridge. See that the filter bag pad of the back of the cutter is full of oil. Retracting and cutting it is always within the away from the linear wall with the reamer installed with the position and depth of the top of the blade retard with the cam of the position the cutter blade at the bottom of the travel the lower reamer of the liner until the depth of the stop rests on the top of the liner. 4. Tighten the reamer to centering the hold the reamer in its correct position, the liner of the place. Rotate the reamer to check the center with adjusting and required to operate the blade retarded with the cam of the swinging the stop out of the way with the release the cutter if they cannot move out of the contact of the linear wall. Operate the reamer manually with the motor until the ridge is entirely removed and carrying the cutting the transfer at the linear of the top is necessary. After completing the ridge, remove the reamer to clean the linear, wiping off the oil cuttings. Honing liners. After removing the cylinder linear ridge, the line must be honed for the final finish. For the purpose of the honing, with remove the glade to provide the proper seating with the strip of the dune piston ring, the light, the scuff of the linear wall may also remove the honing of the however, if the condition to be advanced, the linear should be scraped and removed or overside depending on the its condition. Equipment required to perform the honing of the operation include the honing kit with the electrical drill, stone, cleaning of the brush and the cylinder, hail ring fixture, the operating with the wet hone, suitable containers required for the honing of the liquid of the honing fixture, the strip of the diameter of the section of the description part of the number of the equipment required required. The honing procedure. Each ensure that the honing equipment is assembled. The manufacturer instructions contain the match set with the stone and guides identified in W47J43 stamped on the stone's guides. Inspect the stone cutting surface with cleanness and the clean wire brush if required. Install the wire properly with the honing fixture. Check with the honing shank with the drill motor, but then insert the honing into the liner with a figure 4/8. The stone with the shown and not protrude more than 1/2 an inch out of the inner liner bore. Related to the center pinion of the 1/4 inch, turn it to clockwise to the set of the stones are roughed against the bore of the diameter, lower the piston and pinion and assembly into the gauge of the gear of the home body. Expand the stones firmly against the linear wall, running the ring of the wing wrench of the proportion of the wind pinion assembly with a clockwise direction. Always maintain a firm stone pressure against the linear wall to ensure the fast stock with removal of the accurate work is necessary to increase the pressure for the server. Several stacks of pressure for the correcting stone with the amendment steady ground with the noise. The continuous flooding of the inner surface must be maintained with the same kerosene honing oil during the honing operation. If the liner is not scuffed, merely break the gauge, serve the stroking the rate of approximately 30 to create the complete cycle per minute to produce the crosshatch pattern of the figure 4/9. Or they show the drill motors. Note that the liner stud and remove to clear to show the tool, the application of the driver's shank, the center pinion assembly, the stone support, the stone hold, master holder, and guide. 4/8 of the honing cylinder liner. Alright, if the loaner is scuffed, remove the material buildup, scuffing of the do not attempt to remove the isolated dirt scratch, but they have to significantly affect the operation. Honing of these scratches needlessly reduce the inner life of the linear life. The scuffing has been cleaned, but the hone should be removed within the stones. The wire brush should remove any of the bloating with the stone. The line should be honed with the cleaning of the stones using the high pressure to obtain the good cross hatch pointer. Figure 4/9. Do not remove any of the other material that is necessary to obtain the desired finish. Cleaning the liner must be thoroughly cleaned and abrasive with the inner iron dust of the honing. The liners are properly cleaned after the honing of the particle of the honing operation will attack the liner with the ring of the piston, causing the excessive wear over the short period of time. The liner is cleaned and is filed with the washer line with detergent, hot water, and use the stiff wire brush. The liner, rinse the liner thoroughly with clean water with a wipe. Swab the liner with a clean rag dipped in SAE. Number 10, oil. It is important to use the oil to pull the abrasive material from the floor of the liner with a wipe the clean with a clean dry cloth. Repeat 3 and 4 until there is no evidence of the contaminants in the liner surface. Note if the liner is to be stored with repeats 3 and 5 prior to assembly. Figure 4/9 shows the honing crosshatch pattern. Measuring their liners. After the honer and the liners should be measured and playing with the pair while the right angle of the crankshaft, the dimension limits to listen and surface data. Marking the use of liners and pistons in the stock. It's suggested they use the piston and liners which are not going to make back into the engine immediately, but they are placed in stock thoroughly with clean inspection. Check with their side with the dimension. Check the P chalk marked on the outside of the liners on the crown position with the other liners and piston combination to be selected at minimum delay. Our surface data, cylinder data, the clearance dimension listed below are defined as follows. New limits are those of the new parts manufactured. Drawing tolerances, minimum and maximum tolerance measurements are provided with the surface limit. Time to rebuild at any time of the moment. Scheduled maintenance to perform surface level does not exceed, but each engine component within these limits is raised for the assurance that they will perform satisfactorily for the next schedule overall. The cylinder line borne, except for the port of the release zone, new. The cylinder line borne port release zone only new. The cylinder line bore measurement 6 inches below the inner gasket. Maximum piston line clearance 6 inches below the liner gasket new or maximum. No, the maximum piston linear maximum is 0.5 millimeters. Determine if the wear limit is linear of 6 inches dimension for the piston. Selected for the fitted liners liner of 239 inches and or 230.45 millimeters could be used as 229.9 millimeters. If the piston liners are selectively fitted, the maximum wear limit of the liner is 152.4 millimeters dimension or 6 inches, which would be 9.068 inches. Minimum wear limit is within the 9.046 inches. Cylinder liner bore out of the round, measure the 2 points. Maximum cylinder line bore on top of the piston ring, travel the maximum length of the stud with above the top of the liner. Crankcase upper pilot bore new and maximum. Cylinder lining out of the diameter upper and pilot new and minimum. Cylinder liner out of dimension, bottom of the liner, new and minimum. Insert bore installed in a crankcase, new and maximum. Crankcase lower, insert back bore, new and maximum. Cylinder line, torque stud, minimum. Equipment list: wire brush, stone guide block set, and drill 1/2 inch at 340 to 500 RPMs, 155 volt AC or DC. Drill 1/2 345 to 500 RPMs, 230 volt AC DC. Reamer speed reducer U with liner bore gauge, locator, cylinder line ridge, reamer master gauge, cutter blade, home kit, the homing fixture and cleaning tool. Alright, that was section 4.